A key reason Lord David Frost resigned as Brexit minister is that he was furious the EU banned Britain from its key £80 billion research and innovation project and failed to strike a deal for Britain to rejoin. Lord Frost was tasked with the Brexit negotiating process and had reportedly become fed up with the back and forth over the Northern Ireland Protocol and the fishing licenses disputes. Maria Gabriel, the European Union's Commissioner for Innovation and Research, said back in October that Britain could not rejoin the Horizon Europe programme until these issues were resolved. While not the only reason for his departure, this may have proved too long a wait for Lord Frost, who repeatedly attempted to resolve these issues with European Vice Commissioner Maros Šefčovič. Little progress was made in the many rounds of talks, with neither side agreeing to compromise. The science community have argued that Britain's suspension from Horizon Europe, which would bring a huge boost to research and innovation projects that could access the huge pool of European funding, was damaging the UK science sector minute by minute. Lord Frost was furious with the EU for mustering up the ban, pointing out that Britain's inclusion in Horizon Europe was part of the Brexit deal and a feature of the EU-UK Trade and Cooperation Agreement (TCA). He told the House of Lords last month, "We agreed we would participate in this in the TCA and we agreed to pay a contribution of £15 billion over 7 years. The TCA is clear, the UK shall participate and the relevant protocol shall be adopted, that is an obligation." If it became clear that the EU will not deliver that obligation, and it has not done so far, we will regard them as in breach of Article 710 of the TCA. But despite this, 1 month later Lord Frost has given up. EU negotiators seem pleased with the former negotiator's departure. One European diplomat reportedly told The Times, "This is a great present, Frosty has melted at last. Is there a Brexit thaw in Downing Street at last? We hope so." Lord Frost has previously been described as an enemy of the bloc. The diplomat said, "It would be good if the appointment of a new negotiator could turn the page and root the relationship firmly in mutual interest." That would demand getting Brexit done and dispensing with legacy issues quickly and pragmatically instead of artificially making Brexit endure. Lord Frost's negotiating position will now be filled by Foreign Secretary Liz Truss. The EU must be hoping Ms. Truss will be able to put the issue to bed, but Britain will be hoping that she can get the EU to stop dragging their heels over Horizon Europe. The project, which Britain would have contributed £7 billion to annually, still remains off the cards for the UK despite some non-EU countries like Norway being allowed access. And there were fears that if Lord Frost were to trigger Article 16, which he had threatened to, Britain could have been permanently excluded. Professor James Wilsden, from the University of Sheffield, told Express.co.uk that if this were to happen, it would be a blow. He said, even in a post-Brexit context there's plenty of countries outside of the EU who are members of Horizon, and the government always said we would stay in the framework programs even if we did Brexit. So in a sense, to not be in them is an unnecessary act of self-harm to British science. The EU clearly didn't like Lord Frost's Article 16 threats either. But Ms Truss's job will be to revitalise talks on the Northern Ireland Protocol, which keep the province within the EU's single market on goods and were paused for Christmas after Britain said it would accept interim deals without any major changes. Back in October, the EU offered concessions to reduce customs checks and declarations on goods entering Northern Ireland. If Britain is to rejoin Horizon Europe, Ms Truss will need to make more ground than Lord Frost could manage. The EU-UK relationship had become tense and this is something that Ms Truss will need to rectify. Liberal Democrat Foreign Affairs spokesperson Layla Moran said. Under David Frost, our relations with Europe were already teetering on the brink of a trade war. Families and small businesses up and down the country will now be seriously worried about what the future holds for our trade with Europe. Unless Ms Truss manages to resolve the issue, Britain's participation in the project will be at risk and it may have to resort to a Plan B, that Science Minister George Freeman claims to have drafted up. But it is much preferred that negotiations are put to bed and agreements can be reached for progress to be made.